All right, we've got Senator Bill Hagerty here, the beautiful state of Tennessee. Had a chance to question the Fed chairman. Senator, you believe what he's saying? It's temporary. This won't drag on forever.
Well, Neil, I'm very concerned. He's talking about this as though a pig is moving through a python and that it's going to be past us. It's temporary. It's transitory. But a lot of the policies that are being put in place by the Biden administration are long-term policies that are inherently inflationary. If you think about the Biden administration's first move to kick us out of the Keystone XL pipeline, to stop drilling on federal lands, all of this increases the price of energy. Every good that we buy has to be moved. Those goods are now inherently more expensive. You look at what's happening to the housing market. Housing prices are up dramatically. If you look at people here in my home state of Tennessee, people are feeling this in a very real sense. The goods and the services that they're purchasing have all become incredibly more expensive. And if you look at the move, month over month, from last month to this, and annualize it, we're talking about a 12% increase. The Fed's been talking about a long-term 2% goal in inflation, and that they're willing to overshoot slightly, but we're way beyond slight in this in this most recent number. I think there's very
so. Let me ask you this then, Senator. In a few months, Joe Biden has to decide whether to reappoint Jerome Powell as chairman of the Fed. We've already heard a number of Republicans like you are concerned about what's happening right now. Even Elizabeth Warren, for other reasons, say that he's kowtowed too much to the banks. So his reappointment, even if pushed by the president, isn't a sure thing. Do you support him for another 4 years at the Fed?
I think that Chairman Powell understands the markets. He encountered an incredibly challenging time in 2020, and he kept a steady hand and he moved through that. What we're seeing right now, though, I think, is unprecedented territory. What I hope Chairman Powell will do is pay very close attention to the comments and the discussions that we had today, the concerns that we Republicans expressed on inflation. I hope that will register with him. He's got the tools to deal with this, he said, and my hope is that he'll look very strongly at the balance sheet.
are raising rates. That's whether you do it in a backhanded way by selling a lot of the Treasury notes and bonds he's been scarping up, or you do it outright and raise interest rates. Would you welcome that? But would you and some of your Republican colleagues, recognizing that that's what you do to deal with inflation, would you support that move?
Well, the most important thing to do to deal with inflation is to stop this incredibly rampant and reckless stimulus spending. And again, the policies that the Biden administration are putting into place that have, I think, long-term effects. And what the Fed does, particularly with their balance sheet expansion,
what did he say about that, Senator? He dodged that. He dodged that issue, whether that spending was causing this.
Well, I think he knows the answer to that.
He didn't address it. What do you think?
I think Jay knows the answer to that. Certainly I do, and you do, Neil. This is this stimulative spending, the level of this that we've never seen before. We're talking another $6 trillion. This has got to have a massively inflationary effect. This is laid right at President Biden's doorstep, and they need to own it. And we need to stop accommodating this at the Fed and allowing this balance sheet expansion to go on that I think facilitates it significantly.
Well, Republicans are hardly strangers to a lot of spending, right? I mean, this might be on steroid levels, but even prior to the pandemic, under President Trump, we were seeing a lot of spending, and we were seeing pile-on deficits and debt. It just seems to be a bipartisan binge, don't you think?
Well, certainly in 2020, that was before I got to the Senate. There were multiple packages that moved through. I think they saw a crisis in place. And in fact, Chairman Powell was more vocal at that point about the need for stimulus spending. Did they overshoot? Did they spend too much? It's hard to say, but I can tell you that.
Well, this is even before the pandemic, Senator. I guess what I'm saying is that, Democrats listen to you now and say, well, he's a fine one to talk about spending. Not you personally, sir, but sort of like me giving dietary advice. I probably shouldn't go there. So
I understand what you're saying, Neil.
Republicans have a leg to stand on? Do you think a leg to stand on when it comes to just spending more money than you're taking in?
Well, from a personal standpoint, one of the big reasons I came to this position half a year ago now was to stand up and push back. We're at a point where we're deficit spending at an unsustainable level. Chairman Powell acknowledged that today. We've got to turn the corner. We've got to be pushing back on this deficit because we're leaving this to our children and our grandchildren. That's inherently unfair. I think it's immoral to do.
Senator Hagerty, thank you. We'll see how this goes.
Thank you, Nick.
As you say, these are tense times. We'll see how it sorts.